Okay, guys, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee. Well, here we go. The Jeremiah 49 prophecies look like they have begun. And we will go through those prophecies today, which concern Edom, which is Yemen. And the Americans are doing right now continuous large airstrikes on the Houthis in Yemen. And Trump said these airstrikes will continue for days and maybe even weeks. I will unpack all this for you with the tie-ins to Gaza, Iran, China, Saudi Arabia, Russia, everything. And you'll see what's going on here. And it's Trump following the snare of Jeremiah 50, verse 24. It appears sound, but watch how it unfolds. Okay? So today is very big and very important. And I know a lot of you may not be. Yeah, the iPad fell down. I don't have it supported right, but I'll fix that. Um, the let me get this better. There we go. A lot of you don't follow Jeremiah 49. You're kind of hung up on Ezekiel 38, 39, which is a very good prophecy, but it's not for today. Israel is not living with bars and walls, with great riches, cattle, gold, silver, at peace, at rest, okay? We're at war. We have like many fronts. So it's not for now. You got to wake up, okay? Follow your Bible. Don't follow the people that sell you the books and make merchandise out of you. You can't sell the gospel. You can't go around and tell people, the Lord showed me what's going to happen, and my book is only $29.95 plus shipping and handling, and then I'll share it with you. You can't price tag the gospel. If God ever gave these people any sort of vision, information, insight, and they started selling it, what do you think the Lord would do? They don't even come under conviction when they sell this stuff. They're making merchandise out of God's people. That's all they're doing. Okay, enough on that. I'm going to go into the live stream, make sure we got a live stream, and put my posts up, and we'll get started. And this is big. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and it's been painful for us, I know. And we got sound and picture. And I will be putting my posts up now, and then we'll get going, okay? This is breaking news, so things are still developing as we're reporting it, but it's pretty big. This is not a Joe Biden attack on Yemen, and the British are in on this too, by the way. Just be a brief period of time here, putting up the posts. And then we'll get going. And let me get my email up, and then we'll get going. Got the posts up. Okay, praise time. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 I just want to make a brief announcement. I've had some knucklehead guy come in and bother me and waste my time several times in the past. This guy is a perpetual liar, cannot tell the truth. And of course, that's an indication of who's the father of lies, right? And I think this person is beginning to bother me again by wasting my time. Seems to get some sort of enjoyment in getting me to interact with him and impersonating being another person. Okay, if this doesn't stop immediately, I'm going to be contacting my spiritual warriors for a rather extensive campaign, and I'll just leave it at that. Okay, you're following the same pattern that you have in the past, and you don't give offerings, which is, what you don't see, I see. It's very unusual to have lots and lots of contact with somebody and they never send offerings, okay? So this is it. I don't want to hear from you anymore. You better, that's it, okay? All right. Go waste your time someplace else, You've not drugged me down. You've not accomplished anything, and I just see you as a petty annoyance, and that's it. All right. Next. So, what happened last night? America launched off the aircraft carrier Truman, posted north of, I think it's Sana'a, north of Saudi Arabia, right, near Saudi Arabia, F-18 aircraft to bomb military positions that the Houthis had in Yemen. They're, according to the Wall Street Journal, they're trying to hit missile embankments that could be deployed against shipping in the Red Sea and the area to the south of Yemen as well. And I would assume it also would include hitting missiles that could be launched at Israel, although Trump has not been really playing up. We don't want to see you lunatics hit Israel anymore, or attempt to, I should say, because they really don't accomplish anything. The Americans hit their radar a few days ago after they threatened to resume the attacks on the Red Sea shipping, and that wasn't enough of a warning for these lunatics. So I imagine America has been flying various drone aircraft over Yemen non-stop. Now, the Houthis in Yemen have a advantage, let's call it that. It's a geographical advantage. They have a large piece of area. I mean, compared to Gaza, they're not as big as Iran, and it's rough terrain, mountains, caves, stuff like that, places for them to hide and hide weapons, drones, missiles, things like that, anti-ship missiles, ballistic missiles, whatever they could pick up from Iran and Russia. And this is not a simple campaign. Now, I like to give credit where credit is due, and Trump seems to be well aware of this, as evidenced by him saying it's going to take days or even weeks. The drones are perpetually flying over Yemen, so if they go make a move to go to some area, could be a cave, a tunnel, a bunker, they're going to see the movement most likely, and then they'll know that's a target to attack, and they'll put it on the target list for the pilots. That's what'll happen. Okay? Do the terrorists in Yemen understand this? Probably, but there's not much they can do about it. What are they going to do? They can't cover themselves up with leaves, and crawl into the cave. Maybe that would get them into the cave without detection if they're not using thermal, which I don't know if they are or they aren't. Probably not bothering with thermal. But then how do they get the weapons out? You can't fire them from inside the cave. So they got a lot of problems. The Houthis got a lot of problems. Now, there was perhaps as many as 100 dead, but I think the latest counts are 30 to 50. But nobody knows. Nobody knows. And probably about 100 wounded. That this is not an attack on personnel. It's an attack on equipment. Okay? That's what this is. It is relatively unlikely that any nation other than Iran is going to openly come to the aid and support of Yemen at this point. How can they? Yemen is saying we're going to attack all this shipping in international waters. Now, they let Chinese ships pass, Russian ships pass, of course, Iranian ships pass, maybe Turkey, I don't know, maybe not. But they attack ships flagged in, Panama and other places that they trace to a shipping company that had a ship 8 months ago go to Israel or come from Israel. So they attack every ship that the shipping line has. Now, they've attacked Maersk, M-A-E-R-S-K. That's a huge shipping company, and other companies. That these people are politically influential, they're billion-dollar companies, and they're being victims. They're not doing war, they're shipping, what? Carrots, shirts, shoes, cars. They're, the Houthis went too far. Biden did a couple of token strikes on them to see if he could get them to calm down, and it didn't. And, he was not working with the same agenda that Trump is. Trump's trying to build America up. Biden was apparently against America, knowingly or unknowingly. They call him "Oh Biden," if you get my drift. So, this is a serious amount of strikes. Now, what I would read into this as I try to unpack this for you is the first of the strikes are going to be very fast-moving jets, like F-18 Hornets are pretty formidable weapons, okay? They carry a few bombs. They don't carry 12 bombs or anything like that, right? They carry some. They can carry a load. Maybe they can carry 6. I don't know. Depends what bombs you're talking about, which model of the F-18 Hornet, and so forth, right? But when you're seeing planes take off from aircraft carriers, they're not heavily loaded with planes. They don't have a 1 mile or 2 mile runway to build up speed and lift off. So they're getting targets that, let's just use a non-military term, that could be risky for the planes, because there could be some anti-aircraft systems operational in Yemen. So what these guys are going to be doing initially is they'll fly and then they'll watch to see if the radar turns on, if there is any more radar, and if it does turn on. When the radar turns on, they're going to blow the radar up. Okay? And that's the initial stages that we're probably in now, although I would expect we're past that already. It wouldn't take more than a few hours to wipe out whatever radar they have left, if any. And I say if any, they may not have had much. So that's, off, that should be off the table by now. Then they're still going to hit other targets, but where it's going to lead to, see, these F-18s are not going to be able to carry the proper ordnance to blow up tunnels and embankments in the ground or heavily fortified. In other words, you might see a structure where it's got, 3 or 4 foot or even 6 foot thick concrete that's slightly above the ground, and that's the entrance, and then you go down a series of steps. You might go down 60 feet, you may go down 100 feet, and in there, they have maybe a command center, they might have barracks, they might have weapons storage, they might have ramps to come out of this underground facility, they could tow missiles out, whatever. There's a million ways they could do it. Use forklifts. Or put them on dollies and drag them with a tractor or a pickup truck. There's a lot of ways, okay? But the ordnance that the F-18's going to normally carry isn't going to be good enough for that, okay? It'd be at best hit or miss. They'd have to drop multiple, say, 2,000-pound bombs on the same location and try to hammer it down till the tunnels collapsed and destroyed. But they're more than likely going to use heavier bombs. So they drop 1 and probably 2 just to get a guarantee with a precise guidance package. It blows it up and burrows down, blows the tunnel up and all that. I don't think they're in that phase yet. I think, we saw a lot of movement of B-52s into the region, okay? And I think they're going to launch B-52s maybe, today, which is tomorrow in the U.S., basically, it's still nighttime, or the day after or something like that. When they have a high assurance that there's no threat level for the aircraft. B-52 is not an easily defended plane. It probably has countermeasures and maybe anti-missile missiles and stuff like that, but when it flies, it gets escorted by, usually at least 2, if not 4 fighter jets to make sure nobody's plane comes and attacks it. Well, whose plane's going to come attack the B-52 over Yemen? Honestly, I can't think of anybody, okay? I don't think there's anybody. But they could have missiles in a nearby country, like Saudi Arabia. Maybe the Saudis don't even know they're there. They have a common border with Saudi Arabia, so they might launch from Saudi Arabia. So America doesn't want to lose expensive planes and pilots, and why should they want to lose them? That would be like going back to Biden or something. No, they want to protect the planes, the pilots, and the mission. But I think you'll see B-52s or big cargo planes that can drop large bunker busters out of the rear door of the cargo plane. It basically is, put on a dolly and rolled out from the open door in the back, and it has a parachute, and then they manipulate the bomb accordingly from there. Or B-52s, or both. But, Trump is going to be thorough, and Trump knows, and the Pentagon knows, that these knuckleheads got underground facilities, big ones, plenty of them. That's why it's going to take weeks, okay? Or days. Will the Houthis throw the towel in? I would give that 10% chance because it's end times, anything could happen. Is there a chance that Trump may pull back in a day or two and say, oh, we gave them enough, and not make it a heavy attack. Yeah, but I don't think so. It's end times, anything could happen, but I don't think so. Trump knows if he does that, all that's going to happen is they're going to try to teach him a lesson and attack shipping and its American bases. So what was the Houthis' knee-jerk reaction to these attacks? We're going to attack the American bases in the UAE and Djibouti. They're on our target list. So is this moving towards the ceasefire or giving in to America or anything like that? No. Is this people drinking from the cup of the wrath of the Lord that are drunken, not from alcohol, that are crazy? Yes. Yes. They're crazy. Yemen is Edom. It's in the Bible. It's going to get total destruction. I will cover Jeremiah 49 during the video, the whole thing. It's in there. Okay? Now the Saudis came out with a statement and said, we deny anything we had to do with this action in Yemen by the Americans. The Saudis just signed I don't have the right word for it, we'll call it an oil deal with China. So China went in and made a deal with the Prince Jerk in Saudi Arabia that they are going to basically, they get a guarantee of oil from Saudi Arabia, so they get all the oil they want. The BRICS countries, see, this is important. Now I'm unpacking it for you. BRICS. The idea of BRICS is to get lots of international trade, and they got about 28, 29 members now, to get a lot of trade to take place on this new BRICS digital currency without using the euro and the American dollar. They are not interested in using the euro either. What does this do? This reduces the demand for the dollar by a lot, and it makes the dollar drop in value. That is catastrophic to America, to Biden. Make America great again. This is going against his grain. He cannot stand still for this. He can't, and he knows it, and they know it. Now, have you noticed that Ukraine spends a lot of their time and energy in the Biden days and in the Trump days of attacking Russian oil refineries inside Russia? Probably 2 weeks ago, they had taken out 20%, and there's been a lot more hits on refineries using drones, missiles, whatever they can put on these refineries. I would think they probably took out 25 to 30% of Russia's oil refineries now. That means Russia ain't turning out oil. It takes time to rebuild these things. How much time? Could be a week. Could be 3 days. It could be 65 days. It depends on the damage, and it depends on how much time and energy and resources Russia is willing to dedicate to do an emergency rebuild of these things. Now, is it possible that the damage from multiple drones and missiles could be so severe it's more cost effective and time effective to just start a new refinery? Maybe across the street from the old one or something? Yeah. Yeah, you could divert the pipelines easily, But I don't know how long it'll take for Russia to rebuild. 30% of Russia's economy comes from oil and natural gas. Russia's not doing too good economically from this and the sanctions. Why was Ukraine concentrating on this? Do you think it was perhaps the Americans and the Europeans wanted Zelensky to do that, to bring Russia to their knees? The Europeans, the EU know that they're going to trade oil and natural gas and other goods, food, rice, cotton, whatever, not on the US dollar or the euro, and it's going to drop the demand for the euro too. They're not happy about it. So by who's bringing the oil into BRICS? Well, two countries. Well, and a third, and now a fourth, but let me get there. Russia, whose production is down 25-30%, ouch. And Iran, who's under serious sanctions. And America's talking about interdicting Iranian ships carrying oil to other countries in various pincher points around the world far from Iran. Okay? What's China got? Now, China and India are two mammoth countries. They're roughly 1.5, 1.6 billion each, something like that. They're huge. And they don't have oil and natural gas. They got to buy it. They're the biggest consumers. India does what's good for India. And that doesn't make him bad. Okay, Modi, the guy who runs India, he does what's good for India, and he needs that fuel. So he's seeing the writing on the wall, and he's saying, well, I'll just buddy up to Trump. And Trump is saying, yeah, we'll help you with the oil. Is that relationship likely to continue? I think as long as prophecy timing allows for it, yeah. Yeah, I think Trump and Modi could get along. Trump understands Modi wants to make money for India, and Trump wants to make money for America. So they don't want to kill each other. So all they got to do is sit down and try to find a way where they can both profit. And these two characters can figure that out. If they can't, along comes Elon Musk. They'll solve it. Now, China is not on a good relationship with the Donald. Pretty lousy one, really. Tariff wars that are escalating, By the way, Shanghai has a real estate crash right now. And there's a few million, I don't know, maybe 2 million, 3 million people live in Shanghai. That's not a healthy sign of the Chinese economy, guys. That is a rather negative sign because nobody has any confidence in the real estate. I didn't follow the Department of Justice speech today. I think we got more pressing affairs in the international arena right now, but I will take a look at it during the day if I find it. Okay. So why did China make a deal like this with Saudi Arabia? Because they don't want to go head-to-head with America. They need their oil to keep manufacturing and selling goods. So a lot of countries that don't put sanctions on Iran. Israel buys stuff from China all the time here. It's all over the place. But they see Iran as iffy right now. They can't rely on it. They'll keep buying Iranian oil, but they don't want to send 200,000 troops and 197 planes and 15 warships over to Iran. Why? They got UAE, who's in BRICS, and they're going to be churning out oil not on the US dollar or the euro. But they go and they make a deal with Saudi Arabia, and the deal has undertones that are even mentioned about defense interaction with Saudi Arabia, selling them weapons. Perhaps it goes deeper, putting anti-missile systems and Chinese troops to operate them around the oil refineries. So Saudi Arabia is very friendly with the UAE. Those two guys go like blood brothers from a movie, you know. They work in unison. Saudi Arabia has to fight. The UAE sends military over there, vice versa. They're very friendly. So Saudi Arabia's got hesitancy about going into BRICS because that is throwing the gauntlet at Trump. Okay? You're back? Yeah. Okay. I'll shut the door. So they're not going to step out and do it just yet. Saudi Arabia's got a lot of fears. One of their big fears is the Houthis in Yemen. And if Trump gets rid of them, it can also cause Saudi Arabia to get closer to America because they're not so worried about the Houthis destroying their Aramco oil facility, which they did 2 times in the last year or so. They didn't totally destroy it, they damaged it, and it had a shut for brief periods of time for the rebuild. Repairs, more like it. But they hit it the first time with 1 missile and then the second time 2. What if they hit it with 11? You know, then Aramco, the biggest oil refinery in Saudi Arabia, could go down for, 3 months, 6 months. That'll affect oil prices. Declining oil prices, oil went down about 15% in the last few months. So that hurts the Russians because that means their income from oil went down 15%. On top of sanctions and other problems, it adds up. Russia's not a happy camper. Okay? I'm thinking here what to tell you next. There's so much. I got to put it in a sequence. So the Saudis are going over to what is called the axis of evil. North Korea, China, Iran, Russia, Belarus, Cuba, Venezuela, and a couple other stand countries near Russia, they're going over, okay? So the next step would be the Saudis join BRICS. Curiously, out of nowhere, I want to tell you that a power plant, a thermal power plant in Panama exploded, I believe, today or during the night. Very recent. I have no idea who did it. It doesn't sound to me at all like America did it or Israel did it, or I don't know who did it. Trump, previous to that, was talking about deploying soldiers from America to Panama to start securing the canal. What I believe Trump, and now what I'm watching with the Houthis, Trump is taking the gloves off. And I believe he's going to just take the control of the canal over. Panama is a country that has no military. They use the US dollar for currency. America left Panama in the year 2000 and basically gave them the canal. Then Panama went and built a second canal very close to the first one that could handle much larger ships, like a big aircraft carrier, for instance, big container ships, grain ships, cargo ships, okay? Not just warships. And they're charging America exorbitant fares after we gave them the canal. But you got to understand, I don't believe we gave them the second canal, we gave them the first canal. And they're charging excessive fees. And Trump went and tried to straighten them out, and they said they would suspend the fees and American ships can pass for free. And then a few hours later they said, no, we're not doing it. You got to keep paying. They have a police department. They got motorcycles, they got cars, they got pistols, they got assault rifles, and that's it. maybe the police have their hands on 2 or 3 or 5 or even 10 tanks and armored cars, which would be stationed around the Capitol buildings and the courts in the event of a civil war. That would be it. That's what they have. They have nothing. Do they have an air force? No. Do they have a navy? Little 40, 50-foot coastal patrol boats looking for smugglers. They don't have anything. Is anybody going to come to the aid of Panama to throw Trump out? No. It's not enough of a target. Or it's not a high value asset. It's not that valuable. It's got merit, but how the heck, who are the players? North Korea? No, they can't. Russia and China. Russia's got their hands full right now. They don't have time for Panama. And China, that's quite far away. I don't think they're that interested in trying to run an extended war, a war in Panama against America and allies over the canal. Forget it. They're not going to do that. It's tactically lunatic land. They're not going to bother. Is Panama going to rise up? I don't think Panama will even fire one bullet at America. When Noriega ran Panama and they went to get him, which I think was Bush, old man Bush or something, it took them maybe at the most 72 hours, 96 hours to take Panama over. I think it was more like 2 days, maybe 3. And this guy Noriega was a crook, a drug dealer, and he was apparently addicted. He was a torturer. He was a horrific person. And he had an army that was trained by America, and they had equipment. And it took a few days. Now, I have to also tell you, America had a substantial military base there at the time. So the soldiers were in position, and they had an air base over there near the Panama Canal, maybe a few miles, I don't know, 15 miles away, something like that. They had an air base, and they had Navy ships there. So it wasn't that hard for them to mobilize and go after Noriega. And they tried hard not to harm civilians, okay? Very hard. And they got Noriega, but to take the existing Panama government out, Noriega had an army. They were trained by Green Berets and stuff. What the heck does Panama have? Panama is a pass-through for narcotics. I'll explain. Years ago, when America left, Panama decided to create a new posture for themselves. They decided they were not in Central America and broke relations with the other Central American states. I think there's 5 of them. And they decided they were not in South America. I'm serious. So you basically, if you're going to follow their logic, we have North America, which includes Canada, America, Alaska, and Mexico. Mexico's in North America. Then you have Central America, and then you have South America, and now you have Panama. So you have a 4th America there. What do you call it? Panama America or Sub-Central America? I don't know. And then they use the US dollar for currency. So when the drugs come from South American countries, if they're not being transported by air or water, they have to go from South America to Central America, which means they go through Panama. There's some jungle areas that it passes through, but it probably passes through on roads and everything else. I don't want to get into how corrupt the Panama government is or not corrupt. I don't want to get into that. I don't really know. So the money, the drugs go through Panama to get there if they're going on land. So there's got to be cartel activity in there, you know, and all this other stuff just has to be. If you're going to move drugs through a country controlled by a cartel or cartels, the cartel's getting a piece of it, or you're not going to get through, they'll kill you. So anyway, all Trump has to do is just show up with, 3,000 troops? Let's say he takes 2 amphibious carriers with expeditionary force marines and some tanks and some helicopters and some vertical takeoff F-35s, which America has a few of these, no problem. Send 2 of them there. You got 3,000 soldiers with some armor, some aircraft, helicopters, right? That's it. What is Panama going to do? Get 2,000 or 3,000 police officers to stand there with their 9mm and open up on the military of America? Or fire some of their assault rifles, which are probably American surplus? Yeah, what are they going to do? You understand? They could tell all the people that work at the canal to not go to work anymore and shut the canal down. So the Army Corps of Engineers would take 72 hours, 24 hours to figure out how to operate the canal. Maybe 6 hours. Wouldn't be much. There were construction companies that built this canal for Panama. They'd get on the phone and say, hey, how do we do this? And, you know, come on, you know. Is that likely to start a world war? Nah. Is it likely to cause a lot of death and destruction in Panama? Nah. I don't think so. America will be nice to Panama. They'll say, hey, we got the canal. That's American territory. Okay? The rest of Panama is yours. You want to go arrest people, not American soldiers or American personnel, because they're exempt from you. Understand that. You start arresting them, we're going to break them out of jail and we'll put you in jail. So, you know, they're not going to bother them. Are they going to give them money and economic aid and support? No, Trump's in no mood for that with these people. They're going to lose their revenue for the canal because Trump may collect it and say, you owe us a back debt. He likely would do that. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but he's going to make sure that when American warships and American commercial vessels want to pass through the Panama Canal, they do. He's going to make sure the tariffs they pay are going to be fair, and he's going to make sure they're not told to drop anchor and wait 3 weeks before they can pass the canal while China and Russia ships go through immediately. Okay? It's not a big deal. What is a big deal about Panama? Their offshore banking. If Trump pops his cork and loses it with Panama, he's going to bring Treasury agents and the FBI, and they're going to go with the military and go to the banks in Panama and open up their records. And that's going to give them such dirt on international criminals and government officials around the world, you won't believe it. He's going to have to get the lawyers, too. Because a lot of cases, the banks don't really know who owns the bank account, just the lawyer. But the lawyer has to know. If the lawyer doesn't have proof that somebody is actually the beneficiary owner of the bank account in some way, shape, or form, it could be a corporation or something, then he's responsible for all the money laundering and dirty money, and the Treasury Department would just take them and put them in jail for the rest of their lives. So they would spill the beans, and if they're, smart enough to be a lawyer, even though it's Panama, not America, they're smart enough to be a lawyer, they probably are smart enough to have some fallback evidence to make sure they don't go to jail for the rest of their life. And Trump would just charge him with American law violation, not Panama law violation, which they probably are not violating. So that's another game that can be played with Panama. Beyond that, I don't think there's anything Trump wants in Panama. What is there? It's got probably 40 or 50 buildings. One's called Trump Tower, too, or Trump something. It's a Trump property. But I think Trump just lent his name to it. And a lot of wealthy people go there and buy themselves a condo or whatever they call it, an apartment. And they buy it. And some of these are, I guess, 40, 50 stories, 60 stories, 30 stories. And they're luxurious, they got a restaurant, they got room service, they got a beauty parlor, they got a gym, underground parking, security, a few elevators, nice views, but there's nothing to do there. What are they going to do? The beach is polluted. Panama tried to get the Americans to fix the beaches in Panama City for, so they could be used, but they're polluted. You can't go in the water, it's dangerous. You get water in your mouth, I think your next stop is the hospital, and good luck with the hospital down there, what are they going to do? Give you Pepto-Bismol and watch you curl up and die? I don't know, So they might have good hospitals, but I don't think they do. So yeah, there's nothing. Panama is just cut and dry. And he might even send 3 of these amphibious carriers over there for effect, But, there's drug cartels there that probably would be worried about Trump taking the canal, but what are they going to do? Make war on Trump? Come on. So I think he just clipped the canal, probably clipped the air base near there, if it still exists. It may not. And he could easily smack together a new air base. It would take, the Army or the Air Force engineers or the Seabees, a month? They'd have an air base, or something. Nothing. Child's play. So it would be a military airport. And Trump could interdict ships like Iranian ships breaking sanctions, trying to save 2 weeks, not have to go around South America. They could search the ship when it's in the Panama Harbor waiting to go into the canal, turn the ship away, confiscate the ship and the load. You see the value here? It's sanctions enforcement. When you got to run the ship all the way around South America to get from the Atlantic to the Pacific or Pacific to the Atlantic, you lose 2 weeks, and that means the cargo cannot be sold for an additional 2 weeks. That's an ouch. And you're burning 2 weeks worth of fuel, more than you would normally, and you got to make the payroll on the ship for an additional 2 weeks, which isn't that much. But the big ship, the tanker ship, the container ship, is tied up on the same load for an additional 2 weeks. So they got to charge more. You know, it makes the cost of the goods being transported much higher. So Trump could really get some gains out of that, and there's not real downside. Now, remember I told you that Trump is losing what the rappers call street creds. He's not respected in the world because he's just talking, he's not doing anything. Well, that just changed last night. Now Trump's street creds just went up. He went from probably being a 1 or a 2, I would say he's up now at a 6 or a 7. The Houthis, I mean, attacking Gaza wouldn't give Trump any street creds. There's nothing to it. It's, you know, like attacking a big drug cartel or something like that. It's nothing. Attacking the Houthis, that's another story. That has creds. That's credibility for Trump. And what did the Houthis say right after he was attacking them? Oh, we're going to get your bases in Djibouti and the UAE. There's about 58,000 American soldiers on bases in the Middle East. And I'll tell you where they are. Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, maybe in Oman, but not much. Jordan, much. Saudi Arabia, much. Lebanon, nothing. Israel, just advisors, and nothing really. Iraq has a few bases, as well as Syria has 6 or so, 8 maybe. Can the Houthis attack some or all of these bases? They can. They can attack the American bases in Saudi Arabia, but now that Saudi Arabia is getting friendlier with China and they're making trade deals with oil, I think the Chinese would tell the Houthis to leave Saudi Arabia alone. I think that already happened. The UAE, while they're in BRICS, is still not on the most favored list of the Houthis because they're threatening to attack the American bases in the UAE. And what happens after you attack the American bases in the UAE? Well, you attack the oil refineries in the UAE, or you attack their islands, their man-made islands that they built where they got them loaded with mansions that cost, $3-4 million up to $30-40 million, or super expensive high-rise buildings that are over 100 stories high. You know how easy it is to take down a building that's 110, 120 stories high? You think that's hard? You hit it with a substantial missile or a substantial drone with a large amount of explosives. You're going to blow up probably 3 floors of the building. You're going to get the floor you hit, and you're going to damage the upper floor and the lower floor, maybe 2 up and 2 down. But the engineers, the seismic engineers, are going to say that the whole building structure is faulty now. In the event of a mild earthquake, it could fall, or high winds. Say they get hit with 110 mile an hour winds or something like that. So the whole building is finished. You know how easy that is to hit? Easy. The whole building. And they got dozens of these in the UAE. Dozens and dozens of them. Trump's approval rating is domestic in the United States. The street creds I'm talking about are how the foreign powers view Trump. You had a good point. I'll respond to it. The Hamas in Gaza told Trump some days ago Your threats are meaningless to us. Iran told Trump a few days ago, the president said to Trump, do the hell, use this word hell, do the hell whatever you want. Not interested in Trump. We're not negotiating nukes with you. We're not. You're a bully. You're pushing us around. You're threatening us. We're just not negotiating with you. The Houthis, in defiance of Trump, a few days when Israel cut the humanitarian aid, they said, we'll give them 4 days. If they don't resume it, we're going to be hitting the shipping in the Red Sea area by us, right? And then Trump took out their radar to some extent, and now he's obliterating them. And they're still, during the obliteration, they're saying, oh, now our target list is the American bases in the UAE and Djibouti. Then Jordan tells Trump, if you try to push the Gazan civilians into Jordan, we're going to declare war on Israel. Then the Egyptians told Trump, there's no way that you're putting a single Gazan in our country, put 100,000 soldiers with armor in the Sinai Peninsula, violating the Camp David Accords, which America is obligated to enforce. Wait for that one with Trump. Give it a chance. And they also put troops by Gaza. And then they came up with an alternative solution to Trump's. That's what I'm talking about with street credits, okay? The foreign countries were not respecting Trump. Do I think this changed last night? Yes. Do I think it changed enough? Not yet. Do I think it will? Yeah. They're going to start getting very fearful of Trump in the coming days. Biden went ahead and dropped some bombs from fighter jets in Yemen a few times. That's okay. That didn't impress anybody. But Trump, multiple days of bombings or weeks, that's going to get their attention. Now, is this attack on the Houthis a warning to Iran? Well, the Wall Street Journal says it was. Do I think it was? Yes. Yes. The attack on Iran, which will come, I believe, isn't going to be much different than what they're doing to the Houthis. It's the same weapons, basically, the same garbage. More of it in Iran. And then you have the deep underground nuclear facilities. So it's more complex, but it's not that big a deal. Okay? So what Trump did was, I would say, Pentagon-wise, very sound. The Gaza proxy of Iran is immobilized, basically. They're hanging on by their hostages, in reality. The Hezbollah in Lebanon is 90% defunct. They can't do much. Iraq is sitting there biting their nails and hoping HTS from Syria doesn't come wipe them out. And they're just sitting there doing nothing. And Syria is no longer a functioning proxy against Israel because of Bashar Assad. And Israel blew up a massive amount, and we're still doing it, of military equipment and bunkers and weapons and other military this and that from Bashar Assad left behind. And these lunatics decided to go on an open genocide campaign, killing the Alawites, of which there's 2.4 million, and maybe they got 30 or so, 30,000 of them so far, and they're still after them. And they're going after Christians too. They're throwing Christians out of their houses, confiscating their cars and their homes and their home possessions, burning down villages, emptying villages. But their big persecution is against the Alawites. Now, they made a deal with the Kurds, which is the SDF, Syrian Defense Forces, an ally of America, but they made a deal with the HTS to keep land and join the HTS government, which would include dedicating their military resources, whatever limited amount they have, to the HTS. Those are the ones running Syria. Nobody seems to be very upset about the Alawites getting killed, nor the Christians getting persecuted. The Druze came running to Israel in southwestern Syria and want Israel's protection, and Israel's giving it to them, and they're forming their own militia. They were invited to join HTS government by HTS, and they said, no, you're too evil. The Druze are not lunatic terrorists, okay? They've lived in Israel peaceably with Israel for decade after decade after decade. They work for our border police, they go in the military. They're not criminals, they're not drug dealers, they're not lunatics. They're pretty okay people. They don't go out and make trouble. They're like the opposite of Hamas, okay? They want to work, they want to have their families, and they don't get involved with drug dealing, weapon dealing. They don't do any of that stuff. They actually behave rather well. They want to come under the Israeli flag. So we're protecting them in Syria. We're letting them have work permits and work in Israel. They're filling the jobs that the Gazans used to have. Blue collar. I'll be right back. As we progress through the year of recompenses, which we're in now, read Isaiah 34, verse 8. It's over the controversy of Zion. It's a fight over that because the Arabs living in our land from the Euphrates to the Nile don't want us to have it. That's it. You can read it, Isaiah 34, 8, and it has the day of vengeance in there, which is likely the last day of recompenses, which then rolls into year of redemption. The day of vengeance seems to be that separating day. And God's going to destroy all these nations. Isaiah 30, verse 11, Jeremiah 46:28. It says all the nations he scattered the Israelites into, he's going to destroy. Not kill every person, but it's in there. And I know they don't talk about this, but it's still in your Bible and it hasn't happened. So Israel is now starting to get more of its land back. We'll soon have Gaza. It doesn't go to America. It goes to Israel in prophecy. We got pieces of Lebanon we're occupying. We got pieces of Syria we're occupying. It's starting. Recompenses. Gaza's defunct. Hezbollah's defunct. Syria's defunct. Iraq is doing nothing. They're not defunct yet. Give them a chance. Give them a chance. Jordan, not yet. It'll come. Saudi Arabia, not yet. It'll come. Yemen, which is Edom. It's, I think, started last night. And Iran will get it. Now, this is a warning to Iran from Trump. The idea is to knock the Houthis out before you hit Iran. Then Iran would be more likely to surrender after some bombing attacks, is how the Pentagon would look at it. Okay? And he doesn't want to see the Houthis run crazy in the Red Sea, attacking shipping in Israel and the American bases or whatever they're going to go do. He doesn't want to see that. He wants them out of the way before he hits Iran. Does Iran know this? Yeah. They're well aware of that. Taking out Yemen is part of the year of recompenses. These are the countries that were fighting against Israel. They're the ones getting it first. The other ones that are supporting the Palestinian state, recognizing the Palestinian state, something, they get it too. But they're not the first ones. We've already seen the first ones. So is Iran in there? Yeah. Yeah. And Iraq and Syria. Were the Alawites, who were Bashar Assad, the former dictator of Syria, and his father, old man Assad, were staunch enemies of Israel, and they were Alawites and supported by the Alawites. So does it surprise me that the Alawites are getting persecuted now by their own Muslim brothers, you might say? No, it doesn't surprise me at all. No. No. Does it surprise me that nobody's running around trying to save them? No. No. I'm sure right now in Syria they're persecuting Alawites. I'm rather sure they would be right now. They're not stopping. Okay? Now, what I've told you guys in the past is that Elam in Jeremiah 49 is Iran, or part of it, southwestern, but that means the whole Iran. Iran's not going to let you attack their southwest and say, that's okay, that's Elam, we're not. You know, it's going to be the whole country. Some historians think it includes parts of Iraq and parts of Syria. It also shows us that Assyria, Assyria, is going to attack America, the daughter of Babylon, in Jeremiah 50:51. And Assyria is another old country in the past that is Iran. So Iran is in the attack on America. And that means that America is not going to wipe out Iran. See, what I think is going to happen is this. Based on Bible prophecy and stuff, you have a axis of evil, as the Americans like to call it, which is North Korea, China, Iran, Russia, and then the second tier would be Belarus, some of the stand countries in Europe, and Venezuela and Cuba. Not that heavily important, but they're still there. And you might have Pakistan coming in or something like that. Russian warships just went on a friendly visit to Pakistan. What the heck were they doing there? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. So, one way to defeat America is for Russia to start hitting Poland and Romania with Belarus and plow down Ukraine, and then hit, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Denmark, Norway, Sweden, stuff like that, right? Knock off the easy countries, but Poland and Romania are not that easy, but they're not that hard either. And then China could take Taiwan and try to save their manufacturing facilities, but I understand that Taiwan put explosive munitions in their manufacturing facilities, so if they have to abandon the facilities because they're being occupied by China, they're going to demolish them. So China will have nothing. And North Korea would go for the reunification with South Korea, which means invade South Korea. And there's a big American base there with at least 28,000 soldiers that is going to be in grave jeopardy. And Japan will get into the fight, and the Philippines will get into the fight, and I don't know what Australia would do. They don't have much to fight with, so I don't think they got much. But China would like to have their land because it's so vast, and they could develop the agriculture, I suppose, in a big way. Plus they have minerals and metals and stuff like that. Okay, so if they take this path and Iran starts attacking countries in the Middle East like Israel and Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, and the Houthis attack Saudi, and they try to control the Middle East oil and cause economic chaos to the nations outside of BRICS, which would be the EU and America. And, but there's another way to do this, okay? If they take that path, will basically Russia, Belarus, China, North Korea, and Iran win? Yes. America couldn't possibly hold up against all of them. But the damage that they would take and the losses would cripple them. Okay? They would be all busted up. Trillions of dollars of damage, lost lives, lost military equipment, everything be a mess. So what they're probably going to do, based on Bible prophecy, is say, wait a minute, why should we be morons and attack American interests in Asia and Europe and the Middle East? What's the point of that? Let's just go after America. And then when we get rid of America, we could go around and, Taiwan and North Korea may just surrender, or it'd be an easy victory. The same with Europe. So it makes more sense for them to just knock out America. Once they knock out America, it's child's play for them to get the rest of the world in their programs. And that's how it's going to happen. And that now comes the sleeper agents. which Trump stopped talking about when he took office. I haven't heard it one time. He maybe deported, 60, 70,000 people? They have millions of sleeper agents there, or at the very least, 1 million or 2 million, And they're not the ones getting deported. They're not in sanctuary cities and stuff. They're well hidden. These are single males of military age coming in by themselves. And they're there. But China and Russia and Iran and North Korea are very nervous about launching them. First of all, they got to all agree in unison that it's a good move at that time. And then they're very worried about what happens if something goes wrong. America would start sending B-52s to Beijing and all over North Korea and in Moscow. You think the drones and the missiles hitting Russian oil refineries in Moscow is bad? Imagine the B-52s. Russia would lose 80-90% of their oil refineries in what, a month? Belarus would be a wasteland. Cuba, they would just laughingly get rid of it, I think. Just occupy it. Venezuela, they'd want to take that seriously for the oil. That would be an invasion, probably. So their plan is to get rid of America. I've covered this in prophecy many times. Get rid of America, and then they can go pick off the rest of the countries they want at their leisure. And that's what you're going to see. On top of that, Trump got some sort of cartel problem in Mexico that's not that easily solved. And we read in Jeremiah 50:51, the walls of the daughter of Babylon are going to come down. And that'll be the drug cartels doing it. And then they'll swarm into America with Mexicans and all kinds of illegals and sleeper agents and who knows what else will come in. Why are we discussing religion? Read the title of the site. It's a Bible prophecy site. Somebody wrote Ezekiel 25. I think they mean verse 17. Let's take a look. I always take a look. And I will execute great vengeance upon them with furious rebukes, and they shall know that I am Jehovah when I shall lay my vengeance upon them. Now, that was in that movie many years ago with Samuel Jackson and John Travolta, I think. Well, if you go up higher in the chapter, you get to the context, I think. This is a good scripture you put up there, by the way. Very good scripture. I should read the whole... Let's read the whole chapter. Here's a good post. Thank you. Ezekiel or Hezekiah in Hebrew 25, verse 1. The word of Jehovah came again unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against the Ammonites. Ammon is the capital of Jordan. It used to be its own country called Ammon. It's North Jordan. That's the Ammonites. And prophesy against them, and say unto the Ammonites, hear the word of Adonai Yehovah. Thus saith Adonai Yehovah, because thou saidst, aha, against my sanctuary when it was profaned, and again, that's the temple, and against sanctuary temple, and against the land of Israel when it was desolate, and against the house of Judah when they went into captivity. This is a throwback to the past, obviously. Behold, therefore I will deliver thee to the men of the east for a possession. That's Jordan. Men of the east. Could be a lot of countries. Could be Iran, but Iran is more north. And they shall set their palace in thee, and make their dwellings in thee. They shall eat thy fruit, and they shall drink thy milk. And I will make Rabbah a stable for camels. Well, the camels got to live somewhere, don't they? And the Ammonites a couching place. That's an interesting word. For flocks. It means a place to lay down. And you shall know that I am the Lord. In Hebrew, that's two words. Ani Yehovah. I am Yehovah. For thus saith Adonai Yehovah. That would be Lord Yehovah. His name's not God. His name is Yehovah. Not God, he sometimes refers to himself that way, though. Because thou hast clapped thy hands, and stamped with the feet, and rejoiced in heart with all thy despite against the land of Israel. Behold, therefore, see, that's the controversy. That's the year of recompenses, the day of vengeance, because of the controversy over Zion. Zion in Hebrew is Zion, and it means a dry, parched place. That's how the land is referred to now. And it is dry and parched, except for the artificial irrigation. It'd be pretty bad. And we're called Judah and Jerusalem. We're not called Israel because we don't have the land from Euphrates to the Nile, and we don't have the 10 tribes back yet. Judah's in the land now, which is Judah and Levi, because Judah was not divorced from the Lord, but the 10 tribes, which is the Israel, or sometimes called Ephraim, they were divorced, so they're not here yet. Behold, therefore I will stretch out my hand upon thee, and will deliver thee for a spoil to the heathen, and I will cut thee off from the people, and I will cause thee to perish out of the countries. I will destroy thee, and thou shalt know, Ani Yehovah. I am Yehovah. Now we're in verse 8 of Ezekiel 25. Thus saith Adonai Yehovah, because that Moab and Seir, now Moab is central South Jordan, so it's still Jordan. Seir, Seir, it would be pronounced, is, I don't know all the ancient geography. It's Edom. It starts at after or below the Yeah, after the Dead Sea, it goes to Edom, I think. So thus saith Adonai Yehovah, because that Moab and Seir do say, behold, the house of Judah, which is Beit Judah, house of Judah, it's correctly translated. And the word for behold is hine, and more means here comes or look. Yeah, you could say behold, I guess. Okay. Is like unto all the heathen. That's them talking, not the Lord. Therefore, behold, or hine. You know, there's this song, Hine, Yeshua, Hamelech, Yisrael. That's the word they're calling behold. You could say behold, I guess. In English, we don't use that word behold really anymore. But behold, I will open the side of Moab from the cities, from his cities which are on his frontiers, the glory of the country Beth Jeshmot, Baal Meon, and Kiriathaim, unto the men of the east with the Ammonites, and will give them in possession, that the Ammonites may not be remembered among the nations. And I will execute judgment upon Moab, and they shall know that Ani Yehovah, verse 13, thus saith Adonai Yehovah, because that Edom hath dealt against the house of Judah, that's Yemen, Judah's who's here in the land now, by taking vengeance. See, that's what they did. Oh, look what you did to Hamas, now we'll be attacking you. See, it's all about protecting Hamas with them. That's the vengeance. Part of it, there's other parts too. And hath greatly offended and revenged itself upon them. Well, it hasn't really hurt us that much. That might change, but it hasn't happened yet. I don't see it changing. Therefore, thus saith Adonai Yehovah, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, that's Yemen, and will cut off man and beast from it. Well, that sure sounds like the Donald bombing them starting last night. How's it seem to you? Are you getting the fit yet? Of course you are. I hope. Will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman. That's what the modern Hebrew people, what the modern Israelis with the Hebrew call Yemen, Teman. It means south. And they of Dedan, that I think is Saudi Arabia or Yemen, shall fall by the sword. I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. So we still will be bombing and attacking Yemen with Trump. Can you dig it? Yeah. Or without Trump, but we've already attacked them, but I imagine that Netanyahu and Trump have plans for Yemen. And they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith Adonai Yehovah. Thus saith Adonai Yehovah, because the Philistines, Gaza Philistines, have dealt by revenge and have taken vengeance with a despiteful heart. Gee, what a perfect set of descriptor words. to destroy it for the old hatred. Very, very accurate for today. Therefore, thus say, thank you for posting this. I've read it many times, but I didn't think of using it today. Thank you. Therefore, thus saith Adonai Yehovah, behold, I will stretch out my hand upon the Philistines, Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, the Gazans, the civilians, and I will cut off the cherethims and destroy the remnant of the seacoast. That's Gaza. So they're headed for doom and gloom. Worse, and I will execute great vengeance upon them with furious rebukes, and they shall know Ani Yehovah when I shall lay my vengeance upon them. Well, I think we've gleaned from this that Gaza is not yet going to receive what it's going to receive. What they did on October 7th was despicable, you know, and they're continuing it with the hostages and the torturing. And oh my gosh, they're just sickos. There's nothing in the scriptures and prophecy or anywhere else that Trump's going to move them out of Gaza someplace else. Some of them will turn to the Lord, is what happens, the small remnant. I imagine most of them are going to get killed. And the land reverts to us. And someday, if you're a true believer in Yeshua, even though you're not from Israel, you're in Israel. All Israel shall be saved. Yeshua calls the believers his brethren. You did it not to the least of these, my brethren. You did it not to me. So how could you not be in Israel if Yeshua, the King of Israel, the high priest after the order of Melchizedek, derived from the line of David, if he calls you his brethren, how the heck are you not in Israel? I can't imagine it. So it's nice land. You got good weather. Get yourself a nice little place on the beach and get up in the morning, go sit outside on your patio, maybe have a overhead roof for the sun or some cover, and the ocean air and the waves coming in, breathe in that ocean air, and get your pooch, take a walk on the beach or a jog or something like that. Would be very nice, don't you think? I think it would be very nice. Mediterranean's not as pretty as the Caribbean, where you can see 10 or 12 feet down in the water with that beautiful aqua-colored water. It's sort of a greenish Atlantic Ocean, but prettier than the Atlantic, but nothing like the Caribbean. But it's much better than the Atlantic and the Pacific, I think. It's nice, it's warm. Be nice. You might like it there. You know. Okay. Now I'm going to show you that I believe we're going to see a chain reaction of countries falling very rapidly in Jeremiah 49. I think Trump or pulled the trigger, hit the detonator cap, whatever. Okay? So we'll do Jeremiah 49. And this was a great scripture, though, Ezekiel 25. Really, really good. Jeremiah 49 has a lot of it not fulfilled yet, but I'll put the pieces together. I'll try to tie it for you. Concerning the Ammonites, there we go again, North Jordan. Thus saith Jehovah, hath Israel no sons? Hath he no heir? Why then doth their king inherit God, and his people dwell in his cities? You see, they're squatting in Israel, and they're pumping the oil. And this freak that runs the place, the little short schmuck king, he's in very, very unstable political situation. He could get toppled easily, and he will. or he turns. But he's a real jerk. He's the son of, if you want to call him a man, I don't think I should, but that's another conversation. He's not in the film. I mean, I'm talking gender issues, but moving along, he is dumb. I mean, this is one big dumbbell, okay? The son of a dictator, you know. He's not, you know, there's not a lot going on upstairs with this character. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Jehovah, that I will cause an alarm of war to be heard in Rabbah of the Ammonites. Well, we're not there yet, but I give this an any day possibility. And it shall be a desolate heap, doom and gloom, and her daughters shall be burned with fire. Sounds like ISIS or Al Qaeda or one of those psychopathic groups getting them, burning the children. Then shall Israel be heir unto them that were his heirs, saith Jehovah. So we're heir to Jordan, and we'll get the whatever wealth and riches out of there. They got plenty of rich people there. They've been pumping oil for a long time out of that place. Verse 3, Howl, O Heshbon, for AI is spoiled. Cry, that's not artificial intelligence, it's a city from the past. Cry, you daughter of Rabbah, gird you with sackcloth, lament, and run to and fro by the hedges, for the king shall go into captivity, and his priests and his princes together. So that means he's thrown out of the country, or he runs away out of the country, or he gets grabbed and taken someplace as a prisoner or slave or something. But it would have the connotation of he's out of the country of Jordan. Wherefore, glorious thou in the valley, thy flowing valley, O backsliding daughter, that hath trusted in her treasures. That's Jordan. The treasures would be the oil, I guess. Saying, who shall come unto me? Behold, I will bring a fear upon thee, saith Adonai Jehovah of hosts, or armies, hosts, armies, same thing, I believe. The meaning's pretty much the same. From all those that be about thee. So they're already fearful of their neighbors. And you shall be driven out, every man right forth, and none shall gather up him that wandereth. So they're going to be driven out of that place, out of fear. And afterward I will bring again the captivity of the children of Ammon, saith Jehovah. Ammon, in these, now the Ammonites or Ammon, there is no country Ammon, but it's the area where the capital city Ammon is. They make peace with Israel and flourish in these days now. That's where the capital is. So maybe this stuff with Jordan happened in the past, and maybe this jerk king who's based in Ammon throws the towel in and submits to Israel. I don't know. I have to bring that out because it's hard to follow this, because it could be talking about the past. But the rest of Jordan is called Moab, and they go down for the count, devastation. And afterward I will bring again the captivity of the children of Ammon, saith Jehovah. Concerning Edom, now that's Yemen. Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman, that's the same Yemen, I believe, is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? See, these are raging schmucks. Trump bombs them, and while he's bombing them, they turn around and say, well, now our targets are the American bases in Djibouti and the UAE. Gee, that was the right thing to tell Trump, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a great idea, fellas. Keep it up. Flee you turn if anything would get the American military motivated to sing a song called Bomb Yemen or Bomb the Houthis, that would be it. Now the military will really be gung-ho because they're threatening their brother soldiers. Flee you, turn back, dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan. For I believe that's Saudi. Well, I've checked it before. Let's check. Let's look it up. I can't remember. We'll look it up. I want to say it's Saudi Arabia, but let's check. Yeah, it's Saudi. Saudi. So now we're in verse 8. Flee you, turn back, dwell. Well, I'm going to start at verse 8 again. Dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan. See, dwell deep. So they hide themselves. They probably have underground bunkers, the rich Saudis and stuff. For I will bring the calamity of Esau. So what happened to Esau is going to happen to you upon him. The time that I will visit him. Well, that's like reminds me of the old TV show. Dum, 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 dum. Dragnet, you know. There was an old cop show in the 50s. Yeah, they're going to have to pay the price. And we just see them shifting. You know, now they're trying to get friendly with China. Yeah, they're going to go down the drain. You know, they're a more fitting, descriptor from TV would be Roto-Rooter, away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter, and that's where Saudi's going, down the drain. I think Saudi has just started to circle the drain now. If grape gatherers come to thee, would they not leave some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, they will destroy till they have enough. So he's saying the crooks will rob till they got enough and then they'll pull out. And the grape gatherers are going to leave some at the edges, But now he talks about the Saudis who are very covetous and jealous and stuff. But I have made Esau bare. Goodbye, wealth and riches. I have uncovered his secret places. That's not the same as secret parts. His secret places could be his bunkers, right? And he shall not be able to hide himself. Sure sounding like bunkers, isn't it? His seed is spoiled. His brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children, I will preserve them alive, and let thy widows trust in me. So just the fathers get knocked off. The rest of them make it, and I guess he has mercy on them. Appears so. For thus saith Jehovah. See, they say, for thus saith the Lord. It doesn't say the Lord, it says Jehovah. It's like they're trying to blot God's name out or something, you know. Why do they call the Holy Spirit the Holy Ghost? What is this, like Casper the Friendly Ghost or something? It's absurd. Why do they do that? It's insulting to the Lord. Behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assured, that's the cup of the wrath of the Lord, have assuredly drunken, and art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. See, what Satan's trying to do now, what I discern, is he's trying to get the nations to not go to war, because he knows not a lot about the Bible, but he knows wars and rumors of wars and stuff. So he's trying to stop the wars and freeze end times, because he knows where he's headed, straight down. 1,000 years in the pit, not a fun thing to look forward to. Oh, schmucko Satan. So what is... He's trying to make peace, but it doesn't work. Russia, Ukraine, no peace. Gaza, Israel, no peace. Lebanon and Israel, that's going to blow up. You know, Syria's in turmoil. You know, Iran's not making peace with anybody. There's no peace. It's following God's timing. Behold, they whose... What happened? Okay, now I'm in verse 12. For thus saith Jehovah, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup. So they're trying to not drink of the cup of the Lord. That's what I think is going on. But they do drink of it. They behave stupidly, like Yemen is doing right now, and Gaza is doing right now, and Iran is doing, you know. And he shall, you know, and they're going to get punished. It's the year of recompenses and the day of vengeance regarding the controversy or the fighting is what it means, or the strife over Zion, over Israel. God wants Israel to be serving him as the head of the nations, and the nations under Satan, which is the God of this age, so he's in charge of all the nations, including Israel, are trying to resist it, and they're trying to stop the wars, but it won't work. For I have sworn by myself, saith Jehovah, that Bozrah shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual wastes. So Bozrah is Edom. So Edom is going to be a waste. Does it look like Edom is going to be a waste when Trump's talking about bombing them for days and weeks? Gee, it does to me. I have heard a rumor from Jehovah, and an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, the Goyim, saying, and the word for ambassador is pretty accurate, gather you together and come against her and rise up to the battle. That's likely against Edom. And the ambassador, I don't know, it could be Witkoff or Marco Rubio, I don't know. But it looks like it's happening or will happen shortly. Lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. Thy terribleness hath deceived thee. Remember, you'd see the general from the Houthis sitting there with his jaw out like Mussolini, you know. We're going to get America. We're going to get this one. We're going to get that. You know. Thy terribleness hath deceived thee, and the pride of thy heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. See, they got caves and stuff over there they're going to be hiding in. They probably already are. That holdest the height of the hill. They're up high, these caves. Though thou shouldst make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith Jehovah. Also Edom shall be a desolation. Dum, 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 dum. Every one that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof, all the hits thereof. The plagues means a hit. It's not like the plagues of Israel. The word would really be a hit, like a hit. You know, boils, you know, water to blood. A hit, a hit, a hit. There were 10 hits, 10 plagues. As in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Jehovah. Now, God sent fire and brimstone to destroy those places. The two guys there were, to me, the two witnesses, Elijah and Apostle John, before they came to earth for these days. Well, the Apostle John's been here a long time. No man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan against the habitation of the strong. But I will suddenly make him run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is over the her? The her is Israel. Jordan, well, the Jordan River dumps into the Sea of Galilee right near where I live, so it sounds like Israel. So maybe they try to storm Israel, and Elijah or Apostle John give them a really good scare, as in a hot foot or a hot backside or something. I don't know, but they get pretty scared. Who is the chosen man that I may appoint over her? The Apostle John and Elijah become the judges of Israel. Who is like me? Well, read Zechariah 4:14. How are the two witnesses referred to? They're referred to as the two sons of the clarified oil, the two anointed sons, standing by the Lord of the whole earth. They're sons of God. When you read Job 1:6, it says the sons of God, plural, came to meet with God, and Satan showed up too. He has more than one son. Yeshua is the firstborn son, and he's the only begotten son. He's the only one that was born of the Holy Spirit and a woman. That was a one-off event, never to be reproduced. For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time, and who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore hear the counsel of Jehovah that he hath taken against Edom. Ooh. And his purpose that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall. Well, would the earth be moved if Trump was dropping 22,000 or 30,000 or 40,000 pound bombs? Yeah, it would register on the Richter scale as probably a 3 or a 4 or even a 5 earthquake in the area. The earth is moved at the noise of their fall, of the cry of the noise at the cry of the noise thereof. Therefore was heard in the Red Sea. Well, they're on the Red Sea, Yemen, Edom. Behold, he shall come up, and so it's not going to be heard like in the Pacific Ocean. It'll be heard in the Red Sea nearby, right? I don't know what the heck these bombs sound like, but I know 2,000 bombs going off in Syria, which is quite a few miles away from me, rattle the windows and the doors of my house. I have no idea what a 22,000 or a 30,000 pound bomb is like. I don't think we'll feel it. but you never know. I doubt it. Behold, he shall come up and fly as the eagle, and spread his wings over Bozrah. And at that day shall the heart of the mighty men of Edom be as the heart of a woman in her pangs. She's gonna be sitting there, oh, this hurts, baby, get the baby out, Baby, come out, get out of there already. Concerning Damascus, Syria, that's in Syria. Hamath is confounded, and Arpad, for they have heard evil tidings. They are faint-hearted. There is sorrow on the sea. It cannot be quiet. That could be the Sea of Galilee. Of course, they have land on the Sea of Galilee. Anyway, let's see. Damascus is waxed feeble, and turneth herself to flee, and fear hath seized on her. Anguish and sorrow have taken her as a woman in travail. Well, where the Israeli IDF with armored columns is just a few kilometers outside of Damascus for some weeks now. How is the city of praise? King David ruled out of Damascus. That's where that's coming from. How is the city of praise not left the city of my joy? When David was reigning from there, I assume. Therefore her young men shall fall in her streets. That's happening already. And all the men of war shall be cut off. That's exactly what the schmuck HTS is doing, is cutting off Bashar Assad's men of war. They've already ran away, or they're rounding them up and executing them and stuff like that. But then we have to see HTS run away also and cut off. In that day, that's the day of vengeance, saith Jehovah of hosts, and I will kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and it shall consume the palace of Ben-Hadad. That's one of their Muslimic shrine holy sites or some nonsense like that. Concerning Kedar, and concerning the kingdom of Hazor, which Nebuchadrezzar king of Babel shall smite. Thus saith Jehovah, arise you, go up to Kedar, and spoil the men of the east. The tents and their flocks shall they take away. They shall take to themselves curtains and all their vessels and their camels. And they shall cry unto them, fear is on every side. Flee, get you far off, dwell deep, all you inhabitants of Hazor, saith Jehovah, for Nebuchadrezzar king of Babel hath taken counsel against you, and hath conceived a purpose against. See, when it says Nebuchadrezzar in the Jeremiah 50:51 passages, it says this Nebuchadrezzar, speaking about the head of Babylon. So this could apply to Trump. And if Trump's military bases in Syria get hit, you think Trump may rise up against whoever did that? Oh yeah, he will. No, the iPad made me lose my place. Let's see. I'll pick it up at 27. And I will kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus, and it shall consume the palace. Okay, we did that. And we got Nebuchadrezzar. Okay, now we're in 29. Their tents and their flocks shall they take away. They shall take to themselves their curtains and all their vessels and their camels, and they shall cry unto them. Fear is on every side. Flee, get you far off. Dwell deep, O you inhabitants of Hazor, saith Jehovah. For Nebuchadrezzar, king of Babel, hath taken counsel against you, and hath conceived the purpose against you. So that doesn't necessarily mean in that sentence he's warring against them, but let's keep reading. Arise, get you up unto the wealthy nation that dwelleth without care, saith Jehovah, which hath neither gates nor bars, which dwell alone. It could be Saudi Arabia. And their camels shall be a booty. You know, they buy expensive camels, they race camels and stuff. And the Saudis do that. The multitude of their cattle, you know, they buy these, you know, bulls for $1 million and stuff like that, a spoil. And I will scatter into all the winds them that are in the utmost corners. And I will bring their calamity from all sides thereof, saith Jehovah. And Hazor shall be a dwelling for dragons. That's probably lizards and stuff like that. And a desolation forever. There shall no man abide there, nor any son of man dwell in it. Right? Vacant. The word of Jehovah that came to Jeremiah the prophet against Elam, that's Iran. And it could also include Iraq and Syria to some extent. In the beginning of the reign of Nebuchadrezzar, king of Judah, of Zedekiah rather, king of Judah, saying, Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, Behold, I will break the bow of Elam, the chief of their might. What is the bow of Elam, of Iran? Well, the missile is the arrow, and the bow is the missile launcher. You got it? And upon Elam will I bring the four winds from the four quarters of heaven, and will scatter them toward all those winds, and there shall be no nation whither the outcasts of Elam shall not come. For I will cause Elam to be dismayed before their enemies. So it's dismayed, broken in spirit, before their enemies in the plural. And before them that seek their life. And I will bring evil upon them, even my fierce anger on Iran, saith the Lord, and I will send the sword after them till I have consumed them. So they get so busted up. Look how Trump's going to be bombing Yemen. That's what he's going to do to Iran, probably, or Israel or other countries, and it'll be so busted up, they're going to scatter amongst all the countries of the world, and the sword will chase them, and they die. And I will set my throne in Elam. That doesn't mean he's going to reign out of Elam. It means he's going to judge them. That's what he's saying, set my throne to judge them. And will destroy from thence the king and the princes, and saith Jehovah. But it shall come to pass in the latter days that I will bring again the captivity of Elam, saith the Lord. Well, Elam does appear in the latter days in Gog and Magog as Persia. That's what that scripture is. Where is Turkey ships heard they've really been involved? Now, I'm not hearing anything on Turkish warships, sorry. I think I would, but I'm not. If it was real, I would pick it up. The apple of his eye, yeah. I think the apple of his eye might be better translated the pupil of his eye, by the way we talk English today. So these are certainly exciting times. Let me take a look at my social media updates and see if we got any good news that came in since I started. Never know. Things move fast these days, don't they? They're reporting 40 attacks so far by the Americans last night. That's a lot. "31 dead, 101 wounded in Yemen, plus several missing." They're not only attacking them by air, they're using ships, warships. America is to launch missiles into Yemen. So it's also that, by the way. There are rumors that an anti-ship missile from Yemen hit the Truman aircraft carrier. There's also rumors that it was a near miss, and their defense systems blew the missile up and shrapnel rained down on the ship and hurt some sailors. But we haven't gotten a good confirmation on that. It may take a day, or it may get blocked out of the media, I don't know. Oh, they've released pictures of Trump watching the strikes from the Situation Room in the White House. We still got the water and electricity cut off in Gaza, by the way. Netanyahu tried some other proposal with Gaza to get 10 hostages back. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's probably not worth spending a lot of time on. If it does get legs, I'll cover it, but it's just, I don't know what Netanyahu's doing. He's buying time for some reason. Maybe he wants to drag this war out without starting it up again until Ramadan is over, which is 29th of March. Today's the 16th, I believe. It's about 2 weeks away. I'm not getting into a lot. One of the things that did happen is America hit 6 private houses in Yemen, and they belong to leaders of the Houthis psychotic movement. And they believe that 6 leaders were killed, and they're going to keep doing targeted assassinations as well. So they're learning from Israel, blow the weapons and the facilities and the tunnels up, do targeted assassinations, like Israel. I don't know if Trump's going to do it on the ground. I don't know if Trump's going to try to blockade Yemen, shut the airspace, shut the waters. I don't know. Will he hit the power, knock their electricity out? I don't know. We've got to watch. So we're moving down the track, and don't be surprised if all of a sudden things start popping up really suddenly. Boom, 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 boom. Just keeps happening. But the day of vengeance is going to be the big day, and then comes redemption. So lift up your heads, redemption draweth nigh. So I'm Moshe. Please pray for me and my wife Rivka for our peace, safety, protection, joy, healing. Pray for our finances. Offerings are running dry these days, not sure why. Pray for our animals and pets that are all rescues, that they'd be happy, healthy, and whole. Pray for better videos. Pray for God to answer more of the questions that we've been presenting with timing and sequencing of these events. And pray for the 2 witnesses to get the green light soon, as soon as possible. I would pray that. I think it's a good thing to pray, but we can't make God move his timing, but we can still pray. And pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I hope you got something out of this. And you might want to subscribe because events may start happening rather quickly, and you'll get it from me 12 to 24 hours from the Middle East news before you will from the other sources. And you might want to hit the like, thumbs up button if you want. It helps, and then other people can see this. And you're getting Bible prophecy analysis with the news that I could reasonably tell you you're not getting elsewhere. At least I have never found it. And I'm out. Thanks.